morning sun rose over the Pacific, casting a golden reflection on calm waters. Far beyond the horizon, an uninvited guest entered the theater of the seas. It was sleek, silent, and unmarked to the casual observer, but its purpose was crystal clear: a Chinese spy ship dispatched to shadow the United States Navy. Its crew was trained for this very mission: get close enough to collect intelligence, far enough to avoid direct confrontation. Every antenna on its deck bristled with sensors, ready to scoop up radar frequencies, radio chatter, and navigation data. What they didn't expect was that the U.S. Navy was already watching. On the radar screens of the USS destroyer ahead, the blip appeared. The captain ordered a quiet confirmation. Visual ID through the long-range optics. In seconds, the spy vessel was spotted, a gray silhouette against the endless blue. This wasn't the first time Chinese surveillance ships had tried this tactic. In recent years, Beijing's naval intelligence program has become increasingly bold, often shadowing U.S. warships during exercises or patrols in contested waters. But what made today different was where it happened. This was near a key Pacific passage, a choke point vital to U.S. and allied operations. The USS destroyer was not alone. It was part of a powerful carrier strike group centered around a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. With destroyers, cruisers, and supply ships in formation, it represented one of the most formidable naval forces on the planet. For the Chinese crew, the temptation was irresistible. They edged closer, maintaining a legal but provocative distance. The hum of their electronic surveillance systems filled the control room. They were collecting data, but they were also testing the patience of the Americans. On board the U.S. ship, the atmosphere was calm but tense. The captain and officers understood the game. This wasn't an open battle, but it was a battle of nerves, wits, and discipline. The order was given: increase readiness. On the flight deck, Seahawk helicopters were prepped for launch. In the Combat Information Center, radar operators monitored every change in the spy ship's speed and heading. Then came the first sign of escalation. The Chinese vessel altered course slightly, aligning more directly with the destroyer's wake. It was a shadow move, one meant to match the U.S. ship's path and collect cleaner, more accurate readings. The U.S. Navy responded in kind. The destroyer adjusted speed, then executed a sudden, sharp turn. To the untrained eye, it was nothing. To naval professionals, it was a deliberate maneuver, forcing the trailing ship to either follow or break off. The Chinese captain chose to follow. Mistake number one. Within minutes, the USS vessel repeated the maneuver, but this time with a high-speed burst. The destroyer's wake grew turbulent, throwing off the spy ship's sensors. Now, the game was no longer quiet. The spy vessel had to burn more fuel and push harder just to keep up. Every extra knot was a strain, every sudden move a risk. High above, the U.S. Navy's helicopters took to the air. From the spy ship's bridge, the sight of spinning rotors and approaching aircraft sent an unmistakable message: we see you, and we're ready. The helicopters didn't engage. They didn't need to. Instead, they conducted tight patrol orbits, recording every detail of the spy ship's layout. Cameras captured its sensor arrays, weapon stations, and deck configuration. In effect, the U.S. Navy was turning the tables, conducting its own intelligence operation right back at the intruder. By now, the carrier strike group was adjusting formation. Other destroyers and cruisers closed the gaps in the perimeter. The spy vessel's once clear escape routes were narrowing. Inside the Chinese ship, the tension was growing. The captain knew that one wrong move, crossing into restricted distance or attempting an aggressive maneuver, could escalate the encounter into a diplomatic crisis. For hours, this silent chess match played out across the waves. Every adjustment of speed, every change in heading was part of the psychological battle. Then came the breaking point. The U.S. destroyer initiated a high-speed pass, cutting across the spy ship's bow at a distance well within international law, but close enough to send shockwaves through the intruder's crew. The spy vessel's radar operators lost their clean signal. Its camera operators struggled to maintain focus. In a matter of minutes, their carefully planned surveillance was falling apart. This was mistake number two. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, the Chinese captain made the decision. The risk of staying outweighed the value of the data they might collect. Slowly, the spy vessel broke off, turning away from the strike group. Its course shifted east, retreating toward less contested waters. For the U.S. Navy, it was a quiet victory. No shots fired, no damage taken. But the message was loud and clear: shadow us at your own peril. But the retreat of the Chinese spy vessel was not the end of the story. For the crew of the USS destroyer, it was just one more move in the endless chess match that plays out on the world's oceans every single day. These encounters, quiet, controlled, but charged with meaning, are part of what the Navy calls freedom of navigation operations. It's about more than just sailing. It's about showing presence, projecting power, and reminding any observer that the United States can defend its interests anywhere on the globe. In the wardroom of the destroyer, senior officers reviewed the day's events: radar tracks, electronic signatures, and intercepted signals were analyzed in detail. Data was more than proof of the spy ship's presence. It was intelligence, now cataloged and stored for future reference. Far away in the Pentagon, analysts would soon receive these reports, compare them to previous encounters, building a clearer picture of China's surveillance patterns. They'd ask questions. Was this ship part of a larger operation? Was it relaying information to submarines in the high-speed maneuvers if needed? On the bridge, navigators plotted multiple alternative courses. In the Combat Information Center, the glow of radar screens illuminated the focused faces of operators who knew one thing: every second counted. Even the flight deck crew felt the pressure. Helicopter pilots were briefed to stay ready for rapid deployment, while maintenance teams worked under the roar of jet engines from the carrier's flight deck. The ship's routine, meals, maintenance, training, continued, but with an edge. Everyone knew that in a matter of minutes the situation could escalate. News of these encounters rarely reaches the civilian population in detail. Official statements, if any, are brief. But among the naval community, word travels fast.